Big news coming in from the Supreme Court. The top court cracking the whip on the Delhi police. In fact, the top court has made several important points while hearing a crucial case on Delhi pollution. Remember, the firecracker ban was up in the air this year as well. There was a ban on the storage, manufacturing and sale of firecrackers, but it was clearly not implemented on the ground. Remember, there's a twofold it's a twofold story. One, of course, is a ban on the storage, manufacturing and sale of firecrackers, and the other is the Delhi police's responsibility to crack the whip on those flouting the ban. Now, this includes both those selling the firecrackers and those buying them and bursting firecrackers as well. So the Supreme Court at the outset asked the Delhi police as to what really was the action taken by the cops. Were there firecrackers that were seized? Now, the Supreme Court has said that, well, what the Delhi police did seize was only raw material for the firecrackers, which is why this ban was ineffective like every year. Remember, experts have pointed out that the firecracker ban in any way is not an effective measure to curb air pollution, given the fact that this is only an emergency measure and this can only bring down pollution to a certain extent. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at what happened on the day after Diwali, firecrackers constituted almost 63% of the total pollutants as far as the national capital is concerned. Now, that gives you a sense of how serious the situation is and how much the firecrackers contributed to the post-Diwali air pollution here in the national capital. So, of course, several important points there. In fact, the Supreme Court has also said that no religion would encourage pollution. Remember, there was a lot of bickering around one religion being targeted by imposing a firecracker ban. But this is something that affects people across religions, across communities. This is a life hazard. This is a medical emergency that we are talking about. And the Supreme Court setting the record straight by saying that no religion would encourage pollution. And this is something that's not a religious issue. This is something that should not be reduced to an issue that affects one community or a single community. It is about the fact that our children are breathing toxic air, their cognitive development is being hampered, and it is a much larger issue about human resources. It's not about one religion or another. But let's go back to several important observations that the Supreme Court has made. The Supreme Court says the firecracker ban, like every year, has been an eyewash this year as well. I remember it was 2 years ago when the Supreme Court had made a similar observation, saying that the firecracker ban is virtually ineffective, it cannot curb pollution, and implementation of firecrackers has always been an eyewash. Remember, we at NDTV we've done several reality checks on how firecrackers continue to be sold in black markets every year, year after year. And the other important aspect here is that, well, there is no such thing as green crackers. This is something that we have said year after year. Green crackers are also a complete eyewash. There is no such thing as green crackers, and that is what the Supreme Court is citing, in various observations that it has made. Let me go across to our senior colleague Sunil Prabhu joining us from the Supreme Court. So, Sunil sir, very strong observations, but I remember 2 years ago the Supreme Court had made similar observations, and we've seen year after year the firecracker ban, which in any way is not an effective measure to curb pollution, has been failing as far as the implementation is concerned, because firecrackers continue to be manufactured and continue to be sold.
Well, Justice Oka, I think, means business. He continues to hear this entire matter of pollution, which is really affecting the entire country, in particular the state of Delhi, which is now known as the most polluted capital of the world. It's in that backdrop, as we speak, the Supreme Court has asked for a personal affidavit of the Delhi Police Commissioner to explain what he has done in terms of implementation of the ban. The Delhi government has put up its hands and said it's helpless because it cannot implement. It is the Delhi police which has to do so. Nevertheless, the court has asked the Delhi government to get back to this court on a perpetual ban. They notified the ban only on the 14th of October. So all these points have been brought across to the court at this present juncture. And as the Supreme Court says, no religion encourages any activity which creates pollution. If firecrackers are burned in this fashion, it also affects the fundamental right to the health of the citizens. It's in this backdrop that I think the Supreme Court continues to hear this matter, look into stubble burning, into vehicular pollution, all other factors, because as you are well aware, in the entire capital region, not only in NCT, there has been blatant violation of what has taken place during the Diwali period, including the burning of fire. So it's in this backdrop now that the Supreme Court means serious business. It was made aware in 2015 about the petition as you're talking about, and the subsequent hearings and the subsequent decisions that have come. But nevertheless, they want to get to the root of the issue and ensure that people get access to proper air, breathe properly, and Delhi gets away from this figure of being the most polluted capital in the world.
Absolutely.